of it. It really, you know, at one time I woke up yesterday morning at about 6 o'clock.
That's what I was thinking of.
Davis, four times in a row.
You're, and you back there. People like that Yahoo yesterday listened to you guys. Believe that shit. Sorry. My bad.
Good morning, everyone. It being 9:01 on Wednesday, September 14th. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Human Services Committee.
And you know what it looks like when you live here?
Call the roll,
Mr.
please.
Chairman? It looks like this because you're the guy that went to the match an hour away for boys golf, but you still have to build the float for their parade for today. Like, yeah, that's what this looks like.
How I'm gathering things for the St. Charles North football team's dinner
You're working
tonight,
on a float,
tomorrow
but
night.
Yeah.
It's Kayla though, right?
Yeah.
I thought we were calling roll.
That's
Okay.
where
We're calling roll. Sorry about that.
Yeah, really, guys.
Slightly different roll call
Sounds like
today.
Lewis.
Allen. Bates,
Yes.
Davis,
Oh, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal present.
Kenyon,
Yes, I'm here.
Lewis,
Lewis, proud Caneland graduate.
Go Knights.
Here.
you have quorum.
Super. All right. Was Mr. Shepro on? No. Okay. All right. Approval of minutes from August 10th.
So moved.
Mr. Davis moves.
I'll second it,
Mr.
sir.
Kenyon seconds. Any conversation there? Please call the roll.
Bates,
Yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Sturgis.
Sturgis, yes. Item number 3, public comments. I see nobody in the room. Blair, do we have anyone online? Thank you so much. I would like to welcome our guest board members there. I see Michelle, I see Myrna. Thank you for
Good
coming in.
morning.
Good morning.
Yoo-hoo.
Here we
Good
go.
morning from Florida.
Yoo-hoo.
Oh, nice.
Yoo-hoo. Cheryl here.
Miss Bates, you're part of it. Yes.
Oh.
Oh, wait, I see Cheryl. Is that Strathman?
It is. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Okay, and item number 4, monthly financial reports, I believe, are placed on file. Did anybody have any questions on those? Item number 5, I'll turn it over to Jamie for Department of Human Services Resource Management.
Reports are attached. We have the monthly Blue Cross Blue Shield invoice, which was an average invoice. The Blue Cross Blue Shield MERP numbers holding steady at about 60 for MERP. I know we kind of keep an eye on that. So total participants hasn't moved much in the last month. The Assured Partners report.
Amy, on that last one, I'm so sorry. MERP is held solid up or down from 55 to 65 for years. Is
Yeah,
that-
since its inception, it's been 60, I would say, is right around the average. Upper 50s or 60 has been right about the
Okay.
average for that.
Thank you.
The Assured Partners report, if you want to go a couple pages in, Blair, to 2 more pages. So this is 2022. We're, let's see, about $18,000 in the red, but about a break even is what we are anticipating for this year. So it fluctuates and we're staying right about break even as we go through this year.
Have we had any, I believe our conversation in 2 months ago was, we have had a few anomalous situations, and I believe 3 of those larger losses were actually COVID-related losses that weren't probably, I don't believe those would be items that would have normally been in any expectations. Am I fundamentally solid on that?
Yes, the last couple of years with COVID, increased costs of, COVID, we did have several COVID hospitalizations that were well over the stop loss that, wouldn't have existed, obviously, if it weren't for COVID, that have affected our bottom line. Also, some people put off medical treatment during COVID. So I think it really kind of is all over the place for the COVID years. So they're difficult to compare. This year, I haven't been made aware of any large COVID related expenses beyond testing. Those testing kits were paid by the plan in accordance with the law that occurred early this year. So that would be an extra cost on the plan. But other than that, this year seems to be what we would expect and what was predicted, which is why we're at roughly a break even. So it's staying along with the predictions that we put in place.
And I know break even sounds like, wow, you're calling that a win. Yeah, but based on coming out of what that pandemic was, and again, those handful of incidents did exceed stop loss. Meaning we paid out our full portion, break even is a win. So.
Right. If you want to go up a page, you'll see that last year was far from break even. We were in the hole last year.
In what I think is related topic, do we see our way back to biometric screening? Because of course, the idea there is helping people catch things early so that we avoid catastrophic claims. Is that on the horizon?
Right. So the intent right now is, since large in-person gatherings that are mandatory, not really being popular with employees, we are looking to change the model and actually funnel people to get those biometric screenings from their primary care physician, still fully covered by the plan, no cost to the employee, but that gives them the opportunity to choose their provider and go on their own time and schedule in order to achieve that wellness credit.
But still skip that copay, that 30 or 50 or whatever it is.
$50 per adult, right? So all they would need to do is seek that biometric screening, or really they would just need to visit their primary care doctor for a well visit, and then whatever that provider recommends, they can choose to have done. So we would not be asking nor receiving a report on what they had done at that visit, but they would need to seek their healthcare provider for a well visit. That is what we are looking at. It's not a fully formed program yet. We're working with state's attorney's office. It may or may not need to be union bargain depending on how the contracts are written. So we're going through that process now to try to restructure that to permanently eliminate the large required in-person gathering.
And Jamie, before we leave this slide, if we can, if I'm looking at this, we're saying that we took $1 million out of reserves.
Correct.
In addition to that, conversationally regarding reserves, we had exceeded the reserve limit that we we're being told was acceptable. So where we originally set a goal of $9 million to be the reserve account, that amount has been adjusted down to 5 million-ish. Is that?
Yes, that's correct. That's based on advice from our broker, looking at how the plans are structured. Some of that, I believe, was thought to need to be higher because we used to pay in arrears when we were with IPBC. We no longer pay in arrears, so we do not need to have that extra money to pay the month that we are in
And
arrears.
if I'm not mistaken, that conversation was also, it's pretty tough to artificially set your rates when you guys are putting too much in reserve. And the conversation was, you might have rates that are too tall, costing too much because you're trying to pad the reserves too strong. Even with that correction to lower it, and drawing from that reserve last year, we are still more than solid.
Correct.
We have
So-
exceeded expectation.
Right. We were pretty close to that $9 million mark when we went into last year. So removing that million and change from it took it down to the high 700,000s, I believe. And now we're looking at a $5 million mark. So with what's anticipated this year, the finance department and our broker have worked together, and rates are, so we're expected to tap into reserves just a little bit next year as well. By the way, our rates built, they're actually kept a little lower. We reduced them, I think it was going to be a 13.9% increase, and we decreased that to a 13% to try to have that reserve be at our target amount, which is about $5 million.
And and to continue this conversation, and I apologize, I know everybody just gets these reports and wants to zoom through them, but the amount of work that goes in behind them is incredible. The goal that we had from this committee 3 years ago was to make sure that we were going back to a pure 1783 split that wasn't manipulated. Is that the right term? We were trying to incentivize people onto one program or the other and subsidizing one versus the other. And I believe this year we are true blue on that.
Yeah, starting in 2022, we hit the pure 83-17 split, and that's how we are staying. And you are correct. It was incentivized to push people towards the HMO, which is a more cost-effective plan. And so the split was a little different between the HMO and the PPO. And for reference, that's not unusual to do. That's very, very common to do. If you look at other counties, I know Will County does that. They don't do a pure split. They do an aggregate split as well. So it's not uncommon to do it that way, but we have moved towards the pure 83-17 split, so that the county and the employee equally bear the cost of the different plans.
So we're at the pure split. We've hit our reserve maximum and have been told to bring it down.
Mhm.
We are as solid as could be. And where I'm going with this is, I think this is as good as it gets. That if,
Oh, no, 80-20 would be better.
yeah, no. But where I'm going is, if somebody was to come to us and say, the health insurance costs are too tall, it would now be the appropriate time to shop carriers. And we've really hedged away from that while we've stabilized everything. I think we're stable. I think we've done as much as there is to do. The next phase would, and again, we did align the policies, we had to stretch that to 18 months to get everything in line with a calendar year. I think we've successfully achieved that. And I would plant in everybody's mind that it might be wise to begin looking at a full-blown shop of this.
You should never let it go for too long without shopping.
I agree. And
That's
this
just
is the nudge.
But you're
This is the
right.
nudge, my
I felt it. Took him a while to get there, but he's an insurance guy. They just
Okay.
as you just pointed out, we had reasons that we really had to kind of wait to stabilize and adjust some timing and everything. Once you've done that, you don't really want to go more than 2-3 years before you ask everybody to sharpen the pencil again. I am still a little worried. It'd be like the chicken on a June bug. That was for you, Farmer Kenyon. On the screening, if we abandon the approach that we had before, I don't know, the reporting's not gonna be the same, the ability to kind of push them to do it or incentivize it by the $50 savings changes. Why can't we just work towards hey, eventually we're past the pandemic and the world could, behave like normal again and just go back to it? Because there were a lot of things built into that worked well and provided good information and got people to go and get the information that they needed for their own health.
I can let
I
you-
wouldn't give up. I mean, for me, I would not want to
Let's,
give up on it completely.
I think Mike and Jamie, Mike's team, not Mike, Mike Assured Partners team and Jamie are coming up with alternatives to this that may actually exceed what we were doing before.
And this is like a doctor clinic phobia person right here. I don't like going, but I see that, but I understand. But for us and what we're talking about here, the value of it is pretty substantial.
I can tell you statistically from the conversations we've had with our broker and the information they've given us, generally people who would like to avoid the doctor were taking those reports and going like this. I mean, they were looking at them, but they weren't taking action because of it. This plan aims to, so, most people, even those that would like to avoid a doctor, will do so for $600. Which is what it would cost them in a year if they didn't go. So most of those people would take that incentive and then go to the doctor. And then they're already there with that healthcare professional that can address the numbers that are out of range.
So we're hoping that if they're admonished by their own personal doctor, they may do a better job of listening. Is it?
Yes, it really, that's what it
Okay.
is. We think, because the county itself did not,
Do you listen to yours when you go?
not look at that individual
Doctor, do you
data.
listen to the doctor when you go?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
It's the same song, lose weight. Okay, doc, I'll do it.
All right, before we move on, I believe Deb Allen has joined
I
us
hit
now.
that.
Deb, are you on?
Yes, good morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. And are we going at an okay pace for the new team? Are we? Oh, good. Okay, thank you. All recorded. Good, thank you. Jamie, please continue.
Monthly staff changes report are attached. I just want to point out that we are getting a lot more applicants now than we were, which is just a sign that things are, swinging back towards normal. There was a time when we had lots of positions posted and this applicants list was still quite short. So if you go down to the fourth page of it, you will see that we had 385 applications received in August. So that's really good. That's a positive change that we are seeing a lot more people applying for positions.
So are we within tolerance or maintaining our attrition rates?
Everything seems to be within tolerance. There's been a lot of movement with the, Safety Act and all of the things going on. And I think there've been a lot of position changes going on in the recent months, but for a long time, we had a lot of open positions that were open for a very long time and little or no applications received. So now we are receiving applications and those hires are coming through.
So here's my concern, and I don't know how to verbalize this, so just let me talk through it just for a second. This committee and I believe us as a board have really challenged ourselves to sharpen our pencils to say, listen, we have some budgetary constraints coming up. Let's put together this equity study. Let's put together this mandate. Let's put together this, how are the departments structured and stuff like that. Coming out of a pandemic, trying to put everything together, it's a lot of information. We've challenged we've seen total rework of departments. Such as building and grounds. We have new directors such as Jamie and Michael. As they begin looking at things, I want to make sure that the perception isn't that there's a fire and we're just treading water, that this is actually proactive, that we're actually very solid in our attrition, that we're doing everything we're supposed to be doing at the correct time. But change is change and not everybody likes change sometimes. And, so I just want to make sure that those comments and my perceptions are not false. And I would ask your comment on that.
I haven't noticed an extreme difference. the great resignation affected us too. I think there's a lot of movement in the job market. I think a great portion of that is because when COVID hit, all of, a lot of the older workforce that was at or near retirement age suddenly decided to all retire at the same time and went, this is a mess, I'm out of here, which created a gap at the top because your aging workforce tends to be in your higher positions rather than your entry level ones. And it caused a lot of upward movement, which made it hard to find mid-level, mid-experienced people because the mid-experienced people moved up. And nobody wanted to bring someone brand new into those mid positions. So it created like a void there, and a lot of movement, and people had a lot of opportunity to move up maybe earlier in their career than they otherwise would have been able to. So it just created a lot of movement in the job market. I think that's starting to settle down, but with the inflation and with the fact that private industry moves at a speed faster than government, there is a lot of competition to lose people to positions that have been able to adjust for inflation quicker than the county can. And that is happening right now. We do have a lot of people leaving because they are seeking more money in other places. And that's something that we're currently trying to accommodate.
But just to qualify that comment, of the number of people leaving, we're not losing more than we've been losing. But of that number that's been lost, we're losing them because private is offering more than public. Is that what you're
We
saying?
don't have the detail for me to give you a firm number on that because we're not collecting necessarily where people are going, and they're under no obligation to share with us why they've left or where they're choosing to go. So I'm speaking just from the knowledge of the times in which I do find out that information, that we are seeing a lot of people leaving for money. And so that's just the people that are letting us know why they are leaving. And it tends to be those it's not really the entry level positions, it's the mid-level positions.
Okay.
And some of the top positions. So it's really going to be our, maybe the 75% range of our salaries. Those are the ones that are moving on.
Thank you. Thank you. Seriously.
About the money?
Yes.
Wow.
Jamie, what else do we have here?
The monthly workers' compensation and liability reports are attached. Were there any questions on that? There's nothing particularly out of tolerance coming up on the reports, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
If I could make comment on this, to share with the committee, there have been some concerns or conversations regarding, and Jamie, when I fall astray, put me back in line, the sheriff's office taking on detainees from another community and therein increasing our population of detainees and what effect that could have on our work comp rates at the jail, and whether that was Madam Chair, myself, or Jamie, I think we've all had the same conclusion. We should reach out to loss control and maybe our work comp team and say, what can we do to preempt this? What training can we put in place? How can we address this issue before it becomes a problem? And again, Jamie, is the assumption that those detainees that are coming, those offenders that are coming, are probably there because they're a little bit rougher than a speeding ticket? I mean, is that the assumption that's being made?
I wouldn't have the information of what the detainees are there for, other than we do experience larger workers' comp injuries in areas like the jail simply because of fights and things like that. There's really nothing that can be done to stop it. It's the nature of the work when it comes to the sheriff's department, deputies and correction officers. Their nature of work lends to higher workers' comp numbers. So if you have more detainees, theory would have it, you would have more workers' comp claims.
Yeah, so we're aware of that.
Yeah.
We're trying to get in front of it. At the very least, could we come up with computations to see what that increased costs us so that we can build that into the price of that entire deal?
It's all about the reporting.
It is,
If it's somebody from another county, that it should be reported in their county, not.
but I don't think that's how it's gonna work. I think it's gonna be. yeah,
Fortunately, if there are
okay.
employees on
I
our,
understand what you're saying. I don't think that's how it works.
Don't think we can do it that way.
So, but just to be clear, I mean, both Madam Chair and Jamie and I, myself, we all share this concern. We're on it. We're aware of it. We don't want this to be a blip that got overlooked. It's on the radar. With that being said, we have no concrete, plan in place right now, but we are at least having conversations to get us there. So.
The awareness of it and tracking it is a good step, and because if it becomes an issue, then the contract that they enter into to accept these guys, it's going to have to cost the other counties more.
It could, right.
And that, cost of doing business. We're saving them a bunch of money. I mean, I remember as this most recent one came up, I politely asked the sheriff, I'm like, I know you're trying to be fair to everybody, but could have asked for more. You're saving them substantially more than they're spending with us. Couldn't that pot of gold be split up more in our favor? And if it ends up costing us money here, it's going to have to be.
Committee is just going to do its part. So. if we can.
Now,
May I-
that column for the sheriff's office,
Madam
while still
Chair,
the
you're
tallest
looking.
one there, if I remember right, it is substantially better than it's been for a lot of years.
it is,
They've moved in a good direction. So
yeah,
credit-
we are
credit to-
taking steps to improve risk management, but again, by the nature of what they do inherently, they're gonna have a lot of claims just because of what they do. It's more dangerous.
I'm sorry, this is kind of neat. Karine, I've never seen you on video. You've always been right here. This is hello.
Hello.
Go ahead, please. Thank
So
you.
thank you so much. And thank you, Jamie and Cliff, for putting together this report. When I first talked to Jamie about this, we were taking a look at what additional costs may be for the potential of having Kendall County's jail inmates come to Kane County. Now, currently there are, I think, 15 or 17 women who are at the county jail right now in Kane County from Kendall because of the services that we do provide. And they are being, I think it's $75 or $78 a day is what Kendall is paying for them. But I know that there are hidden costs within all of that. And I talked to Sheriff Hayne, and he assures me that it is balanced. But this area of that we're talking about is not included in that amount. So we have to really take a good look at what those hidden costs are, besides just staff, food, laundry, that kind of thing. But what are those other costs so that we can fairly ask Kendall County or any other county that would be bringing their inmates to us to make sure that we are whole, and maybe with a little bit of profit. And I have no problem with that at all. So as none of us should, because there's administrative costs and function in all of this. So anyway, that's the background, I think. And again, I appreciate the continued research on this. But right now we have a test case. We've got inmates from another county residing in our county jail. So those costs should be taken a look at, even though they may be less active. Nonetheless, those are potential costs that we may have to incur, which we'll have to pay out of our budget.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And I think it's a 15% administrative cost. I think that's about fair. So I'm just throwing that number out there.
Thank you. Jamie, continue.
I just wanted to add in, I know ASA Coyle had joined online for the ethics discussion, and I know he has court this afternoon. I don't know if he's still on. I know, or I'm sorry, he had court this morning, that he was going to have to scoot. So I didn't know if he's still on, if you wanted to advance that conversation.
Why don't we complete yours? Let's get to item F, complete your report, and then we'll go straight to Vince.
Okay, I was just going to give an update on employee recognition, let you know that we are planning to do an employee recognition, and we're, rather than having that following a board meeting, which, the board meetings run long. Last year, all the employees had to leave because the board meeting ran so long, that we would like to do that on a separate date, and we will choose a date in November in a location. We would like to recognize employees for 10, 20, 30, and 40 years of service instead of just 20. So we want to expand it a little bit.
Or you could have it
I'm
on,
at
have it
40
on the
years.
day of and just have it first. We all gotta be here anyway, and then you could just get us early.
Well, and that's something we can certainly look into. I think we didn't want it to be an oversight or a 5-minute.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about people who have worked for the county for 40 or more years. We actually have 4 employees who have worked for the county for 40 or more years.
That's
So
incredible.
that's
No,
incredible. and something we want to
I'm
take.
serious.
into account.
That's a big deal. And I think we've chosen that kind of day, so that it's likely to have more of us sitting here.
Mhm.
Just put it at the very top of the agenda. Get us well refreshed so we can say thank you to somebody that spent 4 decades of their life serving. That deserves our attention.
Yep, I agree. I agree.
So, and we're looking at getting, some kind of token of appreciation. It's small and can stay within budget. So, we're not asking for any more money to do that. We're working with our current budget to provide a token of appreciation and refreshments for them as well, to be able to thank them for all their years of service.
Jamie, thank you for doing it. I know we upgraded that presentation a year or 2 ago, and let's continue that if we can. So, all right, Mr. Kenyon's motioning to amend the agenda, moving up item 7, the ethics ordinance discussion. Mr. Davis, will you second that, please?
I did, didn't I already?
All in
Thought I-
favor?
Aye. Oh,
Aye.
Aye, perfect.
we have a
Vince,
roll call?
That was it.
that was all in favor.
Oh.
Yes. So Vince, are you on with us, please?
I am.
Okay. Your charge to us was a month or so ago was to say, here is the list of this ethics ordinance items. And several months ago, we told you that we would like to eat this elephant one bite at a time. And you said, super, and you worked on the immediate challenges, but then you asked us to review a list that you compiled. And I reminded the committee yesterday at the full board that you would be presenting this in our packets today. And if I'm not mistaken, we have a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items, one of which you marked as priority. And I'm just wondering if you wanted to pick up the ball from here and give us guidance or where are we going from this point?
Sure. Yeah. So if we were going to do it in sections, I did identify the sexual harassment as priority. And the reason for that is the statute does state that within 6 months of the effective date of the passing of that act regarding this issue, the county board shall adopt an ordinance or resolution. And so that act was passed in 2019. So we are years past when this county should have adopted a resolution or ordinance for it. So I do recommend that be the first portion that should be addressed. And then I can follow whatever next section this committee wants me to complete after that.
Does any, and I've been very negligent this morning in additional conversations, but Ms. Lewis, do you have any problems with that?
Absolutely not.
Alan?
Absolutely not.
Bates?
That's fine.
Davis?
That's okay. Yes.
Iqbal?
For the priority, don't have a problem, but for the other remaining items, I would rather reshuffle them a bit.
Okay, let's have that. Let's Mark, how are you? Davis, how are you? Are you okay making sexual harassment number 1?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and if Mo wants to take a look at the other 4 in a different order than as presented, that's fine.
Okay, so Vince, I believe you have consensus from this group that one is long overdue and let's get her done.
Thank you.
And then if I can come back to Mo, Mo, this has really been your spearhead. So I want to give you the floor here.
Oh, thank you. I would take number 2 and replace it with number 4. So they are switched. Because political contribution, I think we should go in the order of importance rather than the easiness.
So 4325.
Okay,
Or,
Thank
yeah,
you.
Does anybody on the committee have any problem with that order?
I have a question regarding, and maybe Vince can answer this one pretty easily. As I look at 3 and 4, I know certainly 4 makes reference to there already being a state statute. It sounds like a pretty straightforward answer to take 3 and 4, follow whatever the state statute says and be done.
I'll let
Yeah,
Vince-
so.
I think
so-
that's where Vince might have been going with that. So Vince?
Correct, yes. So for number 4, there is a state statute and, our recommendation would be to go with whatever the statute is that's in place regarding political contributions. As it relates to gift ban and exceptions, for the most part, the county ordinance does follow a lot of the sections that are outlined in the statute. However, the county ordinance also includes a lot of exceptions that are not included in the state statute that would need to be addressed because those that are not included that in the state statute that are currently on the books for Kane County could be deemed as unenforceable. So they are a little differently, but correct. Our recommendation would be to go along with the state statute.
So Vince, would it be fair to ask, can you handle 1, 3, so what are we saying, 1, 3, and 4 collectively by the next meeting?
Yes, I can try to put something together on 1, 3, and 4, a draft to before the meeting, give out to the committee for any feedback, and then hopefully have a final version by the meeting in October.
Mo, would that be okay with you?
yeah, that would be great.
Mr. Chairman, Alan, question?
And Mo, take your hand down. Deb, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
He's just waving at you now.
Mr. Coyle, my question is, did we try to make our gift ban a stricter? We're not allowed, the state is more lenient as to what people can accept and we tried to make it stricter?
No, I think it's the opposite. So
We could
the
be
way that
more
I
restrictive,
view it
not less.
is that there's more exceptions that the county is giving for gift bans. So the state statute has a gift ban and a list of exceptions. The county expanded that those exceptions further than what the state had anticipated or has written into law. And so therefore it would likely be seen as unenforceable because they are not being more strict than what the state has.
I'm surprised. My recollection was different. Yeah, let's fix that. Thank you.
And if I could comment on the political contributions, I believe that the county states that if you are a sitting elected official for us, the board, your contribution can be no more than $2,000 from an individual. The state says that it is, I believe, well, corporations for sure. I'll take with corporations, 2,000. Corporations for the state limit is 6,000. So there's a big difference in that. I believe that number goes up annually. So anybody who is elected right now and gets a contribution from a corporation, you are limited much more so than if you were running for state office and or if you were just a candidate who was running for a position on the county for the government side.
Vince, do you have what you need there?
Yes, I think I have the instructions from this committee to work on 1, 3, and 4, and that's what I will do and distribute once I have a draft completed.
Mr. Iqbal?
No more question.
Okay, I just want to make sure we have consensus from the committee. Are we okay with this?
I have a question. Do we have an ethics advisor? Is that?
That's one of the items that'll be in the next wave.
We do
Okay.
have one. Judge Grant
Yes, we
Wagner
do. Oh,
is our
sorry.
current ethics advisor.
And he's agreed to stay on, correct?
We will, yes, we will go through the process of reappointing him as needed. That's actually the chairman's appointment, but he is interested in staying on in the same capacity.
And do we have an ethics commission? I see who's on that. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mavis. Okay, Vince, have what you need. Thank you. And again, please don't ever hesitate to ask to be moved up so we can get you, back into the saddle. So,
Thank you very much. Thank you for your
Okay.
time.
okay, bye-bye. All right, let's go back to item 6, compliance.
Regarding sexual harassment training, that was due August 31st. So we still are picking up stragglers in that and making contact with those who do not yet have it completed to try to get those numbers formalized. Not calling out any specific names or people or departments at this time. But we've reached out to try to get those things taken care of.
I don't know.
Thank you
Never
very
sure
much.
if I'm- I'm never
Appreciate
sure
the
if
efforts
I'm
on that.
really
And just
bad.
in general, again, this is probably the third year, maybe second year that we're doing everything electronic, that we've been trying to roll out these electronically. They are being much more well received than they have been in the past. And I'm very pleased with that.
I think it's just a matter of everybody getting used to it. It was a new statute a couple years ago, and I think a lot of people are going, wait a minute, I did this last year. Why do I have to do it again? And unfortunately, that is the state requirement. It's not the counties. It's not mine. It's not this committee's. It is a state statute requirement with a fine penalty for failure to comply. So we do need to make sure every single employee, whether they work 1 hour a year or whether they are full-time employees, they are required to do it by state statute.
Got it. Thank you so much. New business. Resolution A, authorizing Voya Inc. as Kane County's 457B Deferred Compensation Plan record keeper. Jamie, would you like to walk us through? I'm pretty well versed, but go ahead.
Do you want a motion first or?
Oh, I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
that's what this meant.
No, I'm sorry. I
Davis
didn't, I
moves.
failed to recognize Mr. Davist and Mr. Kenyon second.
We currently have Nyhart as the record keeper for our 457B plan. We have reviewed, we did receive some employee feedback regarding customer service and some of the online capabilities and services provided by the record keeper. Voya was previously a record keeper that the county utilized a few years ago. Employees were happy with it. They're a nationally recognized company. Their name changed, used to be, I can't remember, ING or something like that. So they're a fairly well-known company, well-established. So we did do some demos with our financial advisors, Cerity Partners, regarding a few different record keepers. So we did evaluate a number of record keepers, and Voya, having existed, having a previous relationship with the county, really, and lower costs than what is currently being paid. Those costs are paid pro rata from the accounts, so there's no specific cost to the county with either record keeper, but fees will be lower. So this is an effort that we are making to improve our employee experience with the 457B plan and lower their overall costs.
This one's truly a win-win. I mean,
Aren't they the ones with the little origami bunnies?
Yeah, the orange money.
Those?
Yeah, that's theirs.
Cool.
I think staff is very pleased with this move, and we're looking forward to it. And again, we live in a day and age where companies are being rolled up and merged left and right, and sometimes it takes them a little while to get on their feet. In this particular case, we're not willing to wait. So let's make this move, and it's positive, and in both in increased service, but also in reduction in costs for the employees. So. All right, any discussion on that? I believe that's roll call.
Alan,
Alan,
I'm sorry, was there a question? Continue.
not on my part.
Thanks, Deb.
Bates,
Bates, aye.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Sturgis.
Sturgis, yes.
Passes.
Motion to replace Mr. Davis, motions to place reports on
On
file.
Alan,
It's like you were reading my mind.
Seconds. Is that roll call?
Alan,
Alan,
Bates,
Bates, aye.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Lewis,
I'm sorry, Lewis, yes.
Sturgis.
Sturgis, yes. I see no need for executive session. Before we motion to adjourn again, I'm just so encouraging all of our colleagues and brethren committee that if we have the opportunity for somebody like the state's attorney's office that's coming to committee for you, if you can give the accommodation of bouncing them up agenda so they're not sitting, waiting 2 hours, for a conversation, let's get them back to their offices, whether that's Roger, Jody, Mark, Carl, who, let's try and make that courtesy, extend that if we can.
I'm okay with that being, sort of a policy on building the agenda. If you get, guests coming in, you can build it with them near the top.
I know everybody's trying to work from their desk and zoom in and stuff like that, but if we can just get them in and out and continue
Yeah.
moving, I think that helps everybody along. So,
For this committee, if you'd like, I can build that into the agendas. We can rearrange the order, which is, that's the default order and the one we've always used, but I can certainly push those items forward if that's how you'd like
that would
it
make
done.
sense to me, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's up to
It
you.
just seems if we can free up some staff time, across the board. So, okay, motion to adjourn, Mr. Kenyon.
And I want us all to note, record time. Record time.
Fine work, Mr. Chairman.
Duly noted, duly
And
noted.
a second.
Have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.